Vihan once thrived in his busy life. New projects, endless notifications, constant updates, they made him feel important, always engaged, always moving forward. His life was filled with action and excitement, and these constant bursts of energy made him feel like he was progressing. But slowly, the noise and rush started to feel like a burden. His mind began to feel overloaded, like a phone with too many apps running at once. Every thought that entered his mind was quickly replaced by another, leaving him with a growing sense of confusion. Every new task felt like it was beyond his capacity. His brain was no longer sharp and quick, and this bothered him more than anything. "Why can't I think clearly anymore?" he wondered, staring at his screen, lost in a whirlwind of unfinished tasks and endless concerns. His mind felt like a frozen phone app, struggling to load. Sleep escaped him, and his energy drained more and more each day. Inside, he longed for clarity, for a way to declutter his mind and feel alive again. No matter how hard Vihan tried, his mind refused to cooperate. Even simple decisions felt overwhelming. Should I say yes to this meeting? Should I take on this new task? His brain spun endlessly, each question leading to more uncertainty. He found himself mindlessly scrolling through his phone, searching for answers in an endless stream of notifications and feeds. But nothing helped. It was like his mind had too many tabs open, each one demanding his attention. His focus crashed daily, like a frozen app refusing to load. He longed for a reset, for a way to clear the clutter and start fresh. He wished he could press a button to restart his mind, to refresh it the way you would a phone that had frozen. But instead, he was stuck, going through the same motions, trapped in the endless loop of decision fatigue and mental exhaustion. One day, feeling desperate, Vihan visited an old electronics shop to fix his phone. The shop was filled with the smell of dust and old tools, the air thick with the scent of nostalgia. There, he met an elderly technician named Rajan, whose calm hands moved gracefully over the gadgets, fixing them with precision. Rajan noticed Vihan's tense face and asked, "Is it just the phone that needs fixing, or is there something more troubling you?" Vihan hesitated, unsure if he should open up, but then, with a deep sigh, he confessed, "Honestly, I wish I could fix my mind too." Rajan's eyes softened as he smiled knowingly. "You can," he said, his voice gentle, "but not in the way you think. Let me tell you a story." Intrigued and curious, Vihan leaned in as Rajan began his tale. Rajan began, "There was once a man whose phone began to slow down. At first it was subtle, a few apps taking a bit longer to load, a lag here and there. But soon, it got worse. He tried everything, closing tabs, clearing the cache, deleting old files. Yet the problems returned the next day, and the day after that. Frustrated, he visited a wise technician who took one look at the phone and said, "Stop patching the problems. Reset the system." The man hesitated, unsure, but finally, he decided to follow the advice. With a full reset, the phone ran smoother than ever before. Rajan paused, letting the weight of the story sink in. "Our minds work much the same way," he continued. "Over time, we accumulate clutter, thoughts, worries, fears, old memories, until our mental system gets overloaded. We try to patch things up by distracting ourselves with more information or constant tasks, but that only adds more noise." Vihan listened intently, his mind beginning to stir with the possibilities. "So, you're saying I need to reset my mind?" he asked, still unsure but hopeful. Rajan smiled gently. "Exactly. It's not about adding more. It's about clearing the clutter to make space for what truly matters." Vihan's eyes widened in realization. He could almost feel the weight starting to lift. Vihan leaned in, his curiosity piqued. "But how do you reset a mind?" he asked. Rajan smiled, his calm eyes never leaving Vihan's. "The first step is awareness," he explained. "You have to recognize the overload, the constant noise in your mind, the endless worries about tomorrow, regrets from yesterday, and all those to-do lists that never seem to end. You must acknowledge the clutter before you can clear it." Vihan nodded, trying to absorb the wisdom. Rajan continued, "The second step is to disconnect from external noise. Our minds get so caught up in the rush of the world, the constant comparisons, the pressure, the digital chaos. But you need to step away from that. Take time for silence, even if it feels uncomfortable. Disconnect from the screens, the social media, the emails, and just be still for a while." Vihan closed his eyes for a moment, picturing his mind, cluttered with thoughts and distractions. He felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe this was the beginning of the change he had been yearning for. "And then?" he asked, eager to learn more. Rajan chuckled softly. "And then, you create space. The mind needs room to breathe. Once you clear the noise, you'll find that clarity doesn't need to be chased. It simply appears." Inspired by Rajan's wisdom, Vihan decided to take action. He began by silencing unnecessary notifications on his phone one by one. Each beep, each ping, no longer controlled his attention. He scheduled daily moments of quiet, where he would sit in silence, away from distractions. At first, the silence felt uncomfortable. His mind, so used to constant activity, rebelled against it. But Vihan was determined. He focused on his breath, each inhale and exhale helping him release the built-up tension. Slowly, the clutter in his mind began to clear. He started journaling his thoughts, writing down the worries and stresses that had weighed him down for so long. As he wrote, he realized how often his thoughts were trapped in cycles of anxiety and regret. He could see the patterns clearly, and with each word he wrote, the weight on his mind lifted just a little more. His focus began to sharpen, his thoughts less scattered. With each small step, he felt his mind slowly rebooting, like a phone that had been reset. The fog of confusion began to dissipate. Vihan smiled. "I can do this," he thought to himself. "Step by step, I can clear this clutter." As Vihan cleared the mental clutter, something incredible began to happen. His mind, once weighed down by worries and distractions, started to open up. Ideas that had been buried under layers of stress resurfaced, clear and vibrant. His creativity, which had felt dormant for so long, returned with a surge of energy. "I never knew I had this kind of clarity," he thought with surprise, amazed at the newfound focus. Conversations with colleagues became more meaningful, less distracted. He found himself making decisions with ease, trusting his instincts rather than second-guessing himself. The pressure that once consumed him, constantly forcing him to react to everything, began to lift. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by the noise around him, Vihan started responding with calm purpose. Rajan's words echoed in his mind. "A reset doesn't erase you, it reveals you." Vihan realized that all this time, he hadn't been living, just surviving. Now, with his mind cleared, he wasn't just managing life. He was embracing it, thriving in a way he hadn't in years. His mind wasn't empty, it was open, ready to engage with the world around him in a way he never thought possible. Vihan had learned something invaluable. True clarity didn't come from more noise, but from stillness. As he embraced the peace of his own mind, his confidence grew in ways he hadn't anticipated. He no longer chased every notification or worry. Instead, he trusted his instincts and focused on what truly mattered. He found himself responding with calm, rather than reacting impulsively. Others began to notice the change. "You seem different," a colleague remarked. Vahan smiled softly. I reset my mind. He had finally learned that clarity wasn't something given. It was something you had to cultivate. It was a skill, like any other, and with every moment of quiet, he felt himself growing stronger, more resilient. Life no longer felt like a chaotic race, but a calm journey with purpose. What are you still holding on to that's keeping your mind cluttered? What will it take for you to let go and make room for clarity?